Manhunts, VR chat, furries. Today we'll tell the story of one of the most nefarious members of the online world in recent years, who committed heinous crimes. And the craziest part is, he did all of this on the internet for the world to see, and not a single person was able to stop him. Well known online as Tadashi Kojima or Hunter Wolf, in real life the 26-year-old who will be the focus of today's video was known as Aaron Zeman. The young man lived by himself in Tucson, Arizona, and had somewhat unique interests. He was involved in the furry subculture, a community for enthusiasts of anthropomorphic animals. Because of this, most of his time was spent in virtual chat rooms and social media. His online presence relevant to this story began in July of 2022, with the creation of the Twitter account Hunter Fluffy Fox. As Hunter Fox, Aaron frequently interacted with other users. These conversations tended to veer into his fetishes, as they publicly engaged in roleplay. But that seemed to be a norm amongst the circle. For this friendly demeanor, he was rewarded with over 400 followers in the first week he became active. In addition to his approachability, he gained fans for his creative endeavors. He was an aspiring poet and regularly posted his writings. This was in pursuit of an eventual published version, of which he even hired an illustrator for. The longer he spent in the community, the more connections he seemed to make. He eventually amassed over 1,000 followers and decided to create a Discord for his friends. One of these people would be a 13-year-old boy that we'll refer to as simply Evan. Evan was a self-described bi-Muslim who was similarly in the furry subculture. They initially met on Roblox before Aaron suggested they talk on VR chat instead. There, Aaron gained the teenager's trust by consoling him about his personal issues. Examples of this can be seen in their interactions on Twitter. On October 4th, Evan tweeted, "Almost out of school. After the bus home, I'm getting my dad's gun and blowing my head off." To which Aaron replied, "I don't know what's got you feeling down, but just know that I love you, bro. I may not know ya, but I love you." Evan was very open about his age, and this back and forth makes it apparent that Aaron was aware. But disturbingly, he persisted in attempting to court the young one. And given Evan was quite troubled, tweeting about his unstable home life and drinking problem, the man's support seemed generous. The two interacted frequently from there, with many of their convos having clear flirtatious connotations. It wasn't long before Aaron was calling the teen a cutie pie and professing to love him with all his heart. He came to rely on the man for emotional support. In one exchange, Evan states, "I'm starting to not want to tear my skin off when I look at myself." In response, Aaron affirms him by calling him absolutely beautiful and that he deserves to know. Bear in mind that all of this is only what's publicly available. They were talking constantly over Discord, sometimes offhandedly referencing intimate moments. It was later revealed that they spoke on FaceTime as well. By November, there was no ambiguity that the two were dating, as they alluded to having relations together. Thankfully, this wasn't possible as Evan lived over 700 miles away in Layton, Utah. But as Aaron became more and more obsessed, he grew committed to overcoming that obstacle. On November 14th, Aaron tweeted that he had a busy day, getting ready to move to a new state. When someone asked where, he replied, "Utah." Meanwhile, he began to incorporate their interactions into his writings. He began referring to Evan as a lamb, even illustrating a cartoon version of Evan as the animal. This drawing later became the cover of his novel. On the contrary, he referred to himself as a wolf, defining their relationship as one of predator and prey. For example, one states that they would love one another no matter how long they had to wait, no matter what anyone said about their differences. With Aaron moving to the teen's home state, the story began taking an even darker turn. But thankfully, that was halted in late November when Evan's mom uncovered the relationship. They looked through their son's phone, finding inappropriate and often illegal conversations. His mother immediately confiscated the device and reported the incident to authorities. They opened an investigation and instructed her to prevent them from interacting further. this likely took place on the 20th, as that's when all activity on the Dem Does Stuff account stops. However, it appears that somehow Aaron still caught wind of what happened. The next day, he made vague tweets alluding to the situation. "My boyfriend has a lot going on, so I won't hear from him much for a while." This tweet also alludes to his laptop's hard drive being damaged, coincidentally at the same time. But unlike Evan, he remained active on the account. Instead of hiding like one would expect, he wrote 3 different poems dedicated to his lamb. He would noticeably take a brief absence on November 26th, claiming family emergencies and catastrophes back to back. But the constant tweets about Evan continued even after they'd lost contact for weeks. That included him even converting to Islam, dedicating an entire thread to religious material. Unfortunately, in spite of the family's police report, there would be no further action from law enforcement for a month. You see, despite posting his face several times, Aaron remained publicly nameless. Because of this, they were forced to subpoena various sites and applications to obtain more information. And it was during that judicial purgatory that the two would ultimately find other ways to get in touch. In early December, Evan began to use an alternate account he made to interact with Aaron again. It was named Dem Does Stuff AD, with the AD likely referring to After Dark. This is often used in furry communities to signify a not safe for work account. It was created in October, the same time that Aaron tweeted about starting his own After Dark account. Evan would manage to catch Aaron's attention on December 10th by liking 28 different tweets he'd made in a row. Within hours, the two were flagrantly ignoring authorities, as they once again began publicly flirting. On December 12th, Aaron posted a photograph of himself shirtless, with the caption, "Love you, my sweet baby lamb. Daddy will do his best to be home before the holidays." The next day, winter break began for Evan. Because of this, they spent it together on VR chats, even posting about it publicly. Aaron wrote, "Oh my god, I love that man. We played VR chat together for about an hour. Today I heard his voice for the first time since the 20th of November 2022. This is already the best Christmas. I love you." Evan would reply, "He's talking about me." Even before reuniting, Aaron had professed to do everything in his power to get home to his boy for the holidays. Now that they were back in contact, he knew that it would take extreme lengths to ensure they'd remain together. It was then that they decided he'd convince Evan to leave home so they could live together on the run. The plan was outlined overtly in several tweets, but went unnoticed by authorities. That included professing being hornied up and fantasizing about having relations. He even photographed the various substances they planned on taking together. Aaron's parents also didn't notice this, focused instead on trying to get their son the help he needed. They'd arranged for him to attend a therapist on December 28th. But he would never attend that meeting, as 2 days prior, on December 26th, Evan would be abducted. That Monday, Evan left his family's home. They arranged to meet in the middle of the night, where the furry poet was waiting outside in his car. Shortly after picking him up, Aaron mockingly tweeted, "Where oh where has my little lamb gone?" In preparation, the man allegedly instructed Evan to bring his passport. Because of this, while the exact plan is unclear, it likely involved them leaving the country. The boy's disappearance wasn't noticed until over 12 hours later, with an Amber Alert issued at 4 p.m. In these initial notifications, the perpetrator was only identified as Hunter Fox. However, the next day, they seemed to confirm his identity, outing him as the 26-year-old Aaron Zeman. In their pursuit, law enforcement was under the belief that the two were headed south of the border. This was a complete inference, as Aaron had actually driven east, and consequently, there were few people on their trail. Police attempted to use phone number pings, warrants, and emergency disclosures, but were still unable to locate the pair. Word of the incident spread quickly across social media, with his account going viral upon being linked. This too proved unhelpful, as many amateur investigators were under the belief that the shirtless selfies were faked. There were no leads, with the public unsure of where the two runaways had gone. That is, until the early hours of December 28th, when by complete chance they were spotted. That morning, the two arrived in Grand Island, Nebraska. They stopped at a Get and Split, a local gas station chain. Aaron parked his vehicle before turning around and going the wrong way. Eventually, he returned to the gas station where they stayed for an extended period of time. Because no one left the vehicle or got fuel, an employee grew suspicious and alerted authorities. Upon arriving, the responding officers ran the man's license plate and discovered its link to the Amber Alert. They had traveled nearly 800 miles. Aaron was then ordered to exit the vehicle before being forcibly removed after he refused. He was subsequently charged with kidnapping and resisting arrest. Upon ensuring the boy was safe, officials notified Evan's parents, who immediately began driving to Nebraska. Because of this, she was able to reunite with him that very afternoon, seeing her son face to face for the first time in days. Her first response was to give him a hug. Bizarrely, in the initial court documents, Aaron is referred to by the name Tadashi Kojima, though this has since been corrected. Regarding other charges, Lieutenant Lyman of the Layton Police Department speculated it may lead to federal prosecution due to the fact that they traveled across state lines. However, as of the time of writing, it remains to be seen to what extent he'll be punished. And there you have another story of a creep on the internet. And with this, I implore all parents to make sure they're watching what their children do online. And with that, I think I'll end the video here. So until next time, thanks for watching.